So I've been playing Shaolin. Shaolin, a game so very grand in stature that it doesn't even have its own wiki page. Based on what a quick Google image search yielded though, I kind of figured that it was nothing more than a Tekken ripoff. I mean, it has things like pandas, tree men, and rampant boobages, but luckily its rip-offness really only limited itself to the graphics, as gameplay-wise, it's completely its own weird fucking thing. So very weird in fact that I honestly wasn't sure if I could actually review it. So, before I get my analysis on, I figured I'd take a page out of the book of generic YouTube reviewer bullshit and do one of those things where I talk you through my first hour spent with a game and make funny jokes happen. I think that would do a much better job of giving you an idea what this game is like than a traditional review ever could.
As the seasons marched on, chaos spread across the land and bandits proliferated, forcing the people to turn to martial arts for protection.
Because of course.
Although the Shaolin Shrine remained at the center of Chinese Kung Fu, local offshoots sprang up in every quarter. There were many who used Kung Fu for evil deeds. In the midst of this...
The midst of what? I mean, evil deeds, I guess, but that seems a little bit too vague to me, matey.
In the midst of this came the orphan child Ned, whose arrival was to hold great significance.
Well, alrighty then. With this being a fighting game, it's obviously going to start with tank controls.
Because fuck you, that's why.
After getting my bearings-ish and finding out that I was indeed a child grasshopper, I found these two gents hanging around the corner. Naturally, I had a little dance and activated my bird's eye view of God, only for some hoodlum to come along who wanted to steal my money. So, yeah, this is an RPG. You first choose between having a penis or a vagina, and then you pick a class. Now, I will get into the significance of these after I'm done doing this stupid fucking thing, but let's just say that shit gets strange. Thing is that instead of it playing like a traditional fighter, it mostly revolves around doing that thing where you almost bump into someone at the airport, but both of you are quick to notice because of the ripple, and so you awkwardly try to step aside at the same time in the exact same direction, leading to a sort of ballet of fuck. And then you kiss. Mwah. So of course, this shit took quite a while to get the hang of, and I was told many times that I was the perfect loser. Also, I found a giant clone of myself at one point.
Turn back. Turn back now!
In any case, I honestly couldn't make heads or tails out of the combat, or why the camera has to be positioned like this, and why bar stools are literally Hitler. So instead, I figured I'd check out the versus mode. Having seen that, I decided that the best course of action would be to take a breather. So, I turned off the game, went back into cryostasis, and gave my meat a good old rub.
Give your meat a good old rub. That's it. Nice and hot. Hot and spicy meat. Yeah, boy.
The main reason that I kept dying so much is because in RPG mode, your health is constant throughout all battles. So you need to go to restaurants in between fights to regain your health and save at the inn as to not get kicked back to the title screen after a slight boo-boo. But basically though, the objective of the game is to travel to different towns and pretty much beat the crap out of everyone there. And as you do that, your character will become stronger and will learn new moves until you're eventually OP as fuck. This is also why the combat sucks a shitload of fuck right near the very beginning, as you're missing out on more than half of your entire moveset. And maybe my selected combat style had something to do with it as well. You see, the game has a total of 6 styles of Kung Fu. These styles are Shaolin, which revolves around fast kicks and jumping all over the place. Jeet Kune Do, which relies more on swift and speedy punches. Tai Chi, which covers all manners of grapples and reversals, but is very much on the slower side of things. 8 Extremities Fists, which is the one I had originally, and it tends to be about very short-ranged, but apparently hard-hitting attacks. Hungar, basically all of the animal shit like the Flying Tiger. And finally, Drunken Boxing, which is pretty much what it sounds like. A good reviewer would go over all of these styles in depth. I, however, can't be fucked. I fiddled around with all of them for a bit and eventually decided to pick the one that resonated with me personally. That one being Hungar. Because dodging all over the place and rapidly pecking at people is fun as fuck. Something that tends to be universal among all styles though are the controls. This shit took a while for me to figure out and the game doesn't explain fuck about shit, so let me explain. X and circle are used for attacking. In combination with the directional keys and holding some of the shoulder buttons, one can pull off combos. Square is used for blocking and dodging if you hold it while moving, and triangle is used for grapples and some kind of butt bump, I don't know. And yeah, it's actually a pretty decently good system. I mean, while the game might not look like much, in fact it looks fucking awful, the animation qualities are actually quite good, and perhaps most important of all, realistic. Thus making the combat a bit on the slower side, but very deliberate and almost kind of intelligent, as things like blocking, sidestepping, and then getting in a well-placed combo right in between the enemy's attack windows turn some fights into pretty lengthy, tense-as-fuck sparring sessions, which is honestly really cool. Quite the shame then that the game as a whole is still a bit shit, mate. Well, maybe not shit, but it is really, really repetitive. You go to a town, have a little explore, maybe something neat'll happen, maybe not. Have a hearty giggle at the dialogue either way, and then you do the exact same thing every time, which is fight 10 dudes so you can enter the dojo. Then fight their senpai sensei, get bitches. All the while being bombarded by a cornucopia of loading screens each time you do anything. And that's just about the entire game, really. While the combat is pretty okay good, it's not like fight the same generic bald dude over and over for like 2 hours okay good. Which is exacerbated by the fact that the enemy AI isn't great. I mean, look at this for instance. They literally do the exact same thing each and every fight. And where things do pan out differently for every combat style, each combat style is its own complete playthrough, making it so that you can't switch styles during play, likely leaving you doing the same shit for about 2 to 3 hours. Though all combat styles being their own campaign does add some replay value, and I can also see someone wanting to unlock all of the movesets this way. I'm just not sure if the game overall is really good enough to warrant it. Now, besides this being quite the oddity in general, all dialogue is also written in this bizarre alien snake tongue. According to the back of the box and all bits of info available online, this is a game by THQ. Initially leading me to believe that this was an attempt to make a wacky Japan game on purpose. But, as it turns out, they only published this mess as it was actually made by Polygon Magic, a Japanese developer from Japan, known for classics such as Galarians, Tendemo Crisis, and this sarcastic joke isn't working cause these games are actually quite good. Which definitely explains why, even if girl, everyone, and I do mean everyone, keeps talking to you about how martial arts will get you some pussy. even going so far as letting your adventures almost get you into the old pedophilic pickle and giving you the option to straight up steal someone's wife. My guess is that they probably just couldn't be fucked to implement different dialogue for both genders.
But secretly,
I like to imagine that this game has an LGBT positive message, being that no matter which gender you subscribe to, or the background from whence you came, if you can kick the shit out of 3 fully grown pandas, you will always fuck hot bitches.